Okay, welcome in, you guys. Welcome in. Let me get this light right. All right. So, this is welcome back to The Power Within. This is episode 5. Episode 5 is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Okay, that is what episode 5 is about with The Power Within. The Power Within leadership is a leadership series teaching you about leadership, how to step into your purpose, right? And become the leader that God called you to be. So we're going to do a recap of episode 4. Episode 4, that chapter that we talked about in episode 4, which we did 2 weeks ago, that chapter taught us that leadership requires courage, confidence, and power. That's what it taught us. Let me get my screen right. Get everything I need. Okay. So episode 4 taught us that leadership requires courage, confidence, and power. But not in the way that most people think. See, most people think that courage is being fearless, but no, courage is not the absence of fear. We learned, and I taught you about that. So we learned about that. It is moving forward despite of fear. Despite being fearful, despite being scared, you move forward as a leader, right? And then we got confidence does not come from people's approval, but from identity and purpose. And then we learned that power is not control over people, but influence rooted in love and wisdom that builds and transform others. That's what we learned in episode 4. So when leaders understand those three things, which was courage, confidence, and power, when they understand those three things, they stop waiting to feel ready. And the reason why as a leader, you stop waiting to feel ready is because you'll stop depending on approval and you'll stop trying to control the outcome of any and all things. So instead, they let you lead with we learned how to lead with purpose, stability, and compassion. So the recap of all that is just pretty much courage helps leaders move forward and confidence keeps leaders. Okay. So today's episode is episode 5, which is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So we're going to talk about leading with depth. Okay. Leading with depth. Let's start with knowledge informs, wisdom applies, understanding transforms. So knowledge informs you, wisdom applies. You apply the wisdom and understand transform you. Once you understand, you can start operating in what you're supposed to be or who you're supposed to be, or whatever your purpose is that God bless you with. So knowledge gives information. Wisdom knows how and when to apply it. But understanding brings the revelation, right? So it changes how you see, think, and lead. That's how knowledge, wisdom, and understanding come together, right? So spiritual leaders do not stop at knowing facts. They pursue insight that transform perspective and produces mature decisions. Okay? So the information does what? It fills the mind. Once it fills the mind, understanding reshapes the leader. That's why you have to have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. It goes together. You can't have one without the other because you can have one, but then you don't know how to pursue in the next or step into the next phase, right? So leadership requires continuous learning. Leadership requires continuous learning. A lot of people think once they make it to the top, they get that leadership position like, oh, that's it. I don't have to learn anymore because you do the job. You do the job. How many of us have that supervisor that's just like they love to delegate? They don't really know anything about the job because of the fact their whole thing is I hold the title, you do the work. Well, those what we called in the military, well, I'm not even going to get into what we call them in the military, but at the same time how we look at them is you can't respect that. You end up respecting the title, but you don't respect the person, right? So leaders require continuous learning. So leadership is not just a title, it is a responsibility that demands growth. It's a responsibility that demands growth. Now effective leaders remain teachable. We remain teachable, we remain curious. We want to know what's next. We want to know how did that work? What's the next best thing? We don't just stop at what we got to get hired or we did what we needed to do so God can give us our title or our blessing. No. What's the next best thing, right? And you're open to refinement. As a leader, you stay open to refinement. The moment learning loop, right? That's what you got to look at it. The moment learning stops you, in that moment, the moment that learning stops, influence began to decline, right? You stop learning, the influence starts to decline because why should I listen to you? That's why that whole am I confident in you? Do I trust you? If I ask you a question and you can't answer the question, it doesn't mean as a leader that you're supposed to know everything, but you should know where to go to get it, right? I remember I got hired in this position and I'm new to the whole agency, right? It's totally different, right? So I go in and I'm like, okay, this is what I need. I know what I need. I don't know how to get it. And the supervisor just was like, okay, just go out there and look. Hold on. Now, when the government system, you have different agencies. You can go from DOD, Department of Defense, to Department of Army. You can go to US Treasury. You can go, there are different agencies. So you're not going to look in the same spot for the same thing, right? So they just like, well, go out there. You just got to figure it out. I figured it out, but it's just the point. What's the purpose of you being a leader? If you don't know how to find things, how can you lead? So that's another thing. So growth keeps leadership fresh, relevant, and aligned. So remember, the moment you stop learning as a leader, influence begins to decline. Remember that. So teachable leaders stay effective. Stagnant leader loses impact. So what are you going to be? A teachable leader? Or are you going to be a stagnant leader? We always want to be teachable because God constantly give us more. He constantly give us more. And sometimes we think like, God, I got enough on my plate. But no, he give you more because he know you can handle it. He already know that you can handle it. He know that but it's the moment that you become stagnant and you're like, well, God, I don't hear God no more. I don't feel God no more. I used to get this. Well, it's where are you at in your position? Where are you at in your life? Are you stagnant now? You become content. You don't want any more. I'm good with the blessings you have right now. This is a prayer I used to say. Lord God, I ask that you continue to bless me. But God, if you don't bless me with it, if you don't bless me with anything else more, I'm okay. Right? And then I would say, allow me to sustain the things that you have. If you don't bless me with anything more, I'm okay. But I thought that was a good prayer. But if God created me to be blessed, a spoiled child of his, right? For me telling him, hey, you don't have to do too much, that's just enough. I can't give him stipulations. I don't just sit like I'm content, like I'm good with everything that you got. And we think that's being humble, right? But no, what we're telling God is that's enough. Because the more blessings you come, guess what comes with it? The more lessons, the more work, the more things we got to do, right? So, no, just keep it coming, God. Keep it coming. Continue to bless me and continue to work me. So, growth is both spiritual and practical. Let's look at that. True leadership development is holistic. That's how I look at it. It's holistic. It strengthens character and competency. Spiritual maturity anchors the heart, while practical skills sharpen execution, how you move. So, when both grow together, leadership becomes stable, balanced, and sustainable. So spiritual depth builds foundation. Practical skills build what? Function. So listen, this was a quick lesson that I wanted to come on and teach you guys. So I'm gonna get straight into we're gonna get into our power reflection. So information without wisdom creates noise, not leadership. Information without wisdom creates noise, not leadership. So let's get into the R power reflection. For the ones that's new, R power reflection is the 5 pillars, right? R pi is the 5 pillars that I created as the foundation of the Trinity of Fitness Bootcamp, which I am the founder of that, right? So with that Trinity of Fitness Bootcamp, I teach you how to heal spiritually, mentally, and physically. So the RPI, which is to acknowledge, release, practice, interact, explore, and empower, those are your checks and balances. That's the foundation of any and everything that you do, your daily life. You acknowledge what the issue is, you release the problem, you practice whatever it is, whether it's self-care, whether it's you're practicing how to pour back into yourself, you're practicing how to pour back, when to step up, whatever it is. And then inner explore is you do a self-reflection. What was your fault in the situation? How did you handle the situation? Regardless of how someone else did you, how did you handle it? And then E for empower. Now you empower yourself. You did great. Next time, okay, you may failed at this. You may have snapped back or crashed out on that time, but guess what? You get another chance to do it again. You did good. You're doing better than you did before. So that's what the RPI is for, the checks and balances. So let's get into it. Anytime you enter one of my classes, if you're here, you need a notebook because I give you homework. This is a bi-weekly course that I teach. So you got 2 weeks to do all this homework, okay? My whole purpose is to teach you how to heal. I say I'm the coach that's going to save the world. How do I save the world? By teaching you how to heal. And so I give you so much homework so you don't have time to focus on anybody else. You only have time to focus on yourself and work on you. That's the goal. So your RPI reflection, A for acknowledge. Where am I avoiding truth, correction, or consistency? Where am I avoiding truth, correction, or consistency? R for release. I release pride, defensiveness, and the need for comfort. P for practice. Invite honest feedback and apply it without resistance. Listen to this. It says, invite honest feedback. When someone gives you feedback, don't turn around and say, oh, they just hating. No. Sometimes it's just constructive criticism, and people will turn around and say, oh, they hating on me. They jealous of me. That's why they saying, no. If that's your friend, someone that you trust, why would you take it any other way? It's because you don't want to hear the truth. So invite honest feedback and apply it without resistance. Now, I for inner explore, which is do I respond correctly with openness or defensiveness? Now, this is the self-reflection part. You, focusing on you. Do I respond to correction with openness or defensiveness? Now, the reason why I'm having you do this is because you can't lie to yourself. Now, if me and you were talking, you can lie and tell me something, but you can't lie to yourself. How do you respond to correction? Is it with openness or defensiveness? Now, E for empower. I want you to say this. I lead with integrity, humility, and truth in every space. Okay? Now, our leadership declaration, I want you to repeat after me. I pursue wisdom, not just information. I grow through learning, reflection, and experience. I seek understanding before making decisions. I am guided by clarity and discernment. My wisdom deepens as my wisdom grows. I pursue wisdom, not just information. I grow through learning, reflection, and experience. I seek understanding before making decisions. I am guided by clarity and discernment. My leadership deepens as my wisdom grows. That is your leadership declaration. Now, your homework is you're going to journal, and this is what you'll journal. Where do I need deeper understanding? Where do I need deeper understanding? And how do I currently make decisions? How do I currently make decisions? Now, your meditation prompt, what you're going to meditate on, I want you to focus on inner alignment, right? With inner alignment, and I want you to reflect quietly. Am I the same leader in private as I am in public? Do I welcome truth and correction or avoid it? Am I building trust through fairness and integrity? And then I want you to, here we go. I want you to believe this right here. And I want you to know this for a fact. As you're sitting there and you're meditating, as I say, I don't do affirmations. The reason why I don't do affirmations is because it's just you constantly saying a thing to convince yourself that it will be a thing. But if you never believe it to be a thing, then hey, I go straight into declarations. I declare a thing to be so, and it shall be so. So what I want you to do is just think about this as you're meditating. I choose truth over comfort. I lead with integrity and consistency. I welcome accountability. It strengthens me. Okay. Now, the leadership goal for the next 2 weeks is I want you to choose one leadership topic to study for 30 days. That's what I want you to do. Choose one leadership topic to study for 30 days. And listen, this leadership course I teach every 2 weeks. So the next episode will be episode 6, communication and active listening. So you guys, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll know when I go live. I don't like to waste anybody's time. I come straight on, teach what need to be taught, because my whole thing is I want to teach you how to heal and become the leader that God called you to be. I thank you guys for joining. Check out the playlist. My playlist is The Power Within. This is where this will be housed in the other episodes. I'm also doing women through the Bible, leadership of the women in the Bible, and that is housed here as well under my playlist. So check out my playlist. I got nothing but teaching. Every platform that you meet me on, I will be teaching. That's all I do is teach leadership, how to heal, self-healing, self-awareness. I teach you how to become the best version of yourself. So that's the goal. So you may see me around with the Lead Her movement. The Lead Her morning show I do over on TikTok, but I will house it here. The first episode started today, so I'll house it here. I'll have a playlist of the Lead Her morning show where I also teach. My podcast, Chat with Coach Nye, is on all streaming platform. I'm teaching over there, and I'm teaching uh, God's Plan. That's what it's called. The program is called God's Plan, and it is the leadership through the book of Daniel. So, you guys, every platform that I'm on is Chat with Coach Nye, and I will be teaching. So, have a notebook anytime that I go live. Listen, once again, I thank you guys for joining me. If no one told you today, I'm telling you now, I love you, and I am so proud of you. Remember to pour into yourself before you pour into others. My website is tofbootcamp.com. My book is Trinity Walk to Self Love. It is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and Walmart website. Coach Nye out.